欢迎来到Debra家的厨房第2课。今天我们来学2道，一个是布朗尼的甜点，一个是传统的美国快食汤。这个汤叫做6个罐头汤，非常容易做的食物哦。现在我们让 Debra 来给大家介绍一下吧。Hi Debra, introduce.
Well, I'm going to start from the very beginning and show you how I start making a recipe. You can get a standard cookbook. There's many varieties, brands, but you get one that has the basic foundational recipes. And this one has a recipe called cocoa brownies. And the first thing I would recommend you do before you even start is preheat your oven. And I know some of you have never used an oven before, so whether it's electric or gas, you do the same thing. You find the temperature. This recipe said 350 degrees, so I find 350 degrees on my dial, and this indicates 350, so now I'm just waiting for it to preheat. When it is preheated, it has reached 350, this light will go on. And ovens have different features. Your oven may not have a preheat light to show you it's up to temperature, so you just wait 10 or 15 minutes and it's pretty safe. It's going to be the right temperature. But most new ovens are going to have a preheat feature.
I see.
And this recipe, like most recipes, you're going to end up putting it usually about the middle shelf. So you'll have heat above and below, it'll circulate, and it'll cook.
So right now it is preheat. So
yeah, you can hear.
Use 15 minutes to prepare.
Yeah. And it'll be ready by the time, hopefully, we get done with our recipe.
Wonderful. So, which one should we start? The brownie?
Well, I'm just going to follow my cookbook. Even though I've made this 100 times, I still follow the recipe so I don't make a mistake.
I see.
And this is the first product, sugar, granulated sugar. Let me open this up and I'll measure out 1 cup. This is a 1 cup measure for dry ingredients. And I just fill it up. I'm looking for a knife to level it up. And you can use your hand or a knife just to go from one side to the other. That's exactly 1 cup.
So accurate.
Well, if you're accurate, you can almost depend that it's going to turn out okay. Then it says 1/2 cup softened butter. And here's 1/2 cup. This is a whole pound of butter that's divided into 4 sections, and each is 1/2 cup. So 1/4 pound is 1/2 cup. Now this is softened. I already did it a little bit in the microwave. You can see it's melting just a little.
所以一个半 cup 的黄油，相当于就是这么一整条的黄油放进去。
I don't know. I think she said.
Translate.
And here's another tool that I recommend. If you're going to bake, you get one of these. They're not that expensive. I would guess $20, $25, or $30. You can spend a lot more, but very simple ones. This one has lasted me for years, and it didn't cost that much. But when you're making cookies and cakes and brownies, it helps blend your sugar and your butter very well. It's called creaming. It means it's mixing it so it's light and fluffy. So I need to take it over to where the plugs. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done.
bake 的食物的话，尤其是面点类的食物，我们强烈推荐你花5到20刀，5刀就是2手的20刀，20到25刀是新的这种搅拌器。在任何的一个厨具店，还有像 Macy 这样的商店都有卖哦。
So it's one color instead of white and yellow. It's light yellow, so you know it's mixed well. And that's called creaming. And then it says 1 teaspoon of vanilla. This is called vanilla extract, so vanilla flavor.
This is 1 teaspoon.
Looks like we're missing our teaspoon, so I have to pour out another one. Here's 1 teaspoon.
Okay.
And fill it up and dump it in. This is a very common product for almost all baked goods. You see this used a lot. It just smooths out flavors,
这
makes
个
it
是
taste good.
美内拉，就是香草的那个味精。
There's two kinds you can buy. This one is the best. It's real vanilla extract, but there's also a cheaper brand called Imitation. And if you don't like artificial ingredients, it's okay, but it tastes just the same, but it's a lot less money.
I see.
But you use so very little,
I
it's
see.
not a very important issue.
I see.
So now it says 2 eggs, and I'm going to crack them and put them in here and then use the mixer again. Make sure they're blended real well. Make it really fluffy. And here it is all one color again. Instead of separate colors, it's mixed together well. And now it says...
Right now it's creamy.
It's creamy. Now it's the flour, and it says 2/3 cups. So I'm going to find my 1/3 cup measure.
2/3 cup 的面粉。
Just take my finger, pop it in. 1.
1个3/4 cup， 2个3/4 cup。
So we can get that out of the way. Now I'm going to do it by hand now because it's got enough air mixed in, it'll be fine. The next one is, I won't mix it yet because we have another ingredient we can put in before we mix. 1/2 cup of Hershey's cocoa or some kind of cocoa powder. Hershey's is a good brand, so that's
Yeah,
why
we
I
have
use
the
that.
same brand. The same brand has already immigrated in China.
Oh, I can see why it's good. Okay, 1/2 cup. The most important ingredient in brownies is the cocoa, so you might want a good brand for that.
好时的巧克力粉。
Get something to clean up our spills with. I'm a messy cook, I admit it. Now this is the ingredient I often forgot when I was learning to cook, but you got to have, even if it's a 1/2 teaspoon, it's the baking powder. And this is a good brand because it's aluminum free. Some brands are not. They have some element of aluminum, and so this is healthier, so I like this brand. And it's just 1/2 teaspoon is all you need, but if you don't put it in, your brownies will be very flat. They won't rise. This one, this set of teaspoons do not have 1/2, so I'm just going to use 2 1/4. There's 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And it also asks for a little bit of salt. Sometimes I don't put it in. It's just a little bit. You hardly miss it if you don't put it in. But since it says to, I will for today. Just a little bit.
Pinch.
A pinch. It actually said 1/2 teaspoon, but I'm going to put less than that.
Next, that's stirring.
Now, another thing you have to pay attention to in the recipe is what size pan to put it in, because it will affect how long it will take to bake. This one requires an 8 by 8 by 2 inch pan, and this is as close as I can get to it in my kitchen. It will be pretty close to the required size. And since I'm using close to the right size, it says it will take 25 to 30 minutes. The cookbook tells you all these details, so there's nothing to guess. So we have to butter it so we can get the brownie out after it's baked, because it will stick if you don't put some kind of grease on the bottom over every surface.
I got one question.
Yeah.
Do we need to put something like water milk inside? It looks so solid.
I have had that question when I started learning to cook too. It's very thick, and it's in between a cookie batter and a cake batter. But it's right, brownies are more solid. So you haven't made a mistake when you mix them up and you think this isn't runny enough. Because if you've ever made a cake, it will pour out of your pan. This we have to
I see.
use a spatula to get it out. So mine's ready, and I think that's mixed real well. Good job.
Right now, I know why each time I try make brownie, made a wrong brownie. It tastes different with yours because I put a lot of milk inside.
You were concerned about it not being thin enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, brownies are a little tricky because it says you have to decide when to take them out, between 25 or 30 minutes. And that's another thing we can talk about. How do you know when they're done?
It smells wonderful.
You don't want to leave them in too long or they become hard. You don't want them to
So
be
most the technical part.
Yeah, and it just comes from experience. How you like your brownies. If you like them a little softer, if you like them more firm.
你觉得这可以掐了掐，你把它弄平就行。
We got it all ready to go in the oven. And so the next thing I'm going to do, because I'm a very forgetful person, is set my timer.
Yeah, I use my timer often. How long?
25 minutes. I start with the minimum time it suggests, and then I check it. And if I think it needs to be longer, then I'll just leave it in and check it every couple of minutes. So 25 minutes, and I'll put it right in the middle.
How many degrees? I guess 350 degrees, right?
It's at 350, yes.
350.
Okay, the timer says it's less than a minute, so I'm waiting to take it out and see if it's done. Seems like an awful long minute.
The last 1 minute.
A really long minute.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look and see if they're really done.
Oh, correct.
There's two ways that I use to see if I want to take it out or not. There's a little separation between the brownie and the side of the pan. So that's a good sign it's done. And then I touch it if it's not squishy and greasy. And my fingers don't leave an indentation. Then that's another good sign. And both of those are true. You don't do the same thing with this as you do with a cake. With a cake, you put a toothpick in. If it comes out clean,
I see.
it's done. But brownies are more moist, so it's not necessarily a good indication.
I see.
Because these will get even more solid as they cool off. So these are done.
Yeah, when can they have it?
You can have them right now if you want. We'll just eat them hot.
Okay.
Okay.
So do we usually need to wait 50 minutes?
If you want
make
them
it
to
cooler?
cool down,
I see.
30 minutes to an hour.
When is the best time to taste it?
I like them when they're still warm,
I see.
but it's
I see.
not necessary. They're good both ways.